Hi, welcome to tonight's meeting of the Finance and Operations Committee meeting. It's Tuesday, August 19th, and it is 4:35 p.m. We're in the Nashua North Boardroom. And so I am here, and Mr. Claffey.
Here.
And we also have Mr. Gray, we have Mr. Smith, we have Mr. Beers, the interim special education director, and Mr. Curtis, the interim assistant special education director, who is also from the out-of-district office. And you guys can go ahead.
Sure. We'll go ahead and start with Mr. Smith and start with plant operations this evening.
Okay, good evening. I have 5 contracts for your consideration to approve. First one is with Allied Universal. They are our district-wide security contractor. And the first item is to approve the annual licensing and support agreement for 26 network video recorders across the school district. Total amount is $39,800.57. Funding is from line 91.1.22.260, 53628, which is contract services. And just for, we do this every year. You probably remember it from last year. Network video recorders record all the activity from all the cameras across the district. They usually come in multiples of 16 in terms of how many cameras can be attached to each one. And we, like in the high schools, we have multiple NVRs. Elementary schools, pretty much just one. And yeah, they record all the video information, which is, I won't tell you how long we can keep it because that people might find out and they might play with that, but it does record everything. We've caught quite a few wrongdoers in the past because of the cameras and the recordings. So that's my recommendation. Allied Universal, the amount of $39,857.
Can I just make one note? I apologize that I didn't catch this before. So I think in the funding line that's on here, I think we're missing a digit. So I think it's 91.122.2260. I'm gonna log into Lawson and confirm right now.
I think you're right. That's why I hesitated when I got to that.
I apologize.
Yep.
And I think, Mr. Smith, just correct me if I'm wrong, this was part of your budget anyways, right? So these were some, I think a couple things on here were some of the anticipated cost.
Correct.
So you already had this information in the contract service budget line when we presented the fiscal year 26 budget.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, do you have any questions, Mr. Claffey? Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the contract with Allied Universal for the annual licensing and support of 26 network video recorders across the school district in the amount of $39,800.57. The funding is from line 91.1.22260.53628 contract services.
So, sorry, it's 22.226.0. So I think it's missing a 2 in there, which is probably confusing. There's so many 2s.
So
That'll be for the other ones too?
That is correct, yep.
so that,
Second.
oh, thank you. Okay.
Oh, I missed all of them.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, next item is to approve the proposal from Eckhart and Johnson to provide and install 12 roof-mounted exhaust fans at New Searles Elementary in the amount of $39,946.08. Funding is from the school's deferred maintenance line. All the exhaust fans on the roof, New Searles, date back to the early 1990s, and so they're definitely at the end of their service life. Approximately half of them are going to be replaced through the Joint Special School Building Committee. So any space that we touched as a result of the security vegetable project that was serviced by an exhaust fan is being paid for by Joint Special. It's out of construction funds. And these are the remainder of them. It's definitely time to replace them. And that's my recommendation.
So does that mean that there's like 24 total fans, roof mounted exhaust fans in New
roughly,
Seals?
yes.
And are there any other exhaust fans in the district that need to be replaced this year that you're aware of?
This is it. That we have some schools that are approaching the same age. New Searles, I want to say, was renovated in 1993. I arrived here in 97. That's when Dr. Crisp and Bicentennial were ending their renovations. They're probably the next ones due to have these replaced.
Okay.
We're getting close.
And would most of that, is the plan when those need to be replaced to come mostly from the deferred maintenance?
I'm hoping to convince the city that it's time for a renovation for those schools.
Okay,
Because it's been 30 years now, which is about the time you typically renovate a school.
okay,
I think all that will come out as we finish up the facility master plan, and that'll lay all these expenses out for us.
okay, that sounds good. Mr. Claffey? No? Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the proposal by Eckhart and Johnson to provide and install 12 roof-mounted exhaust fans at New Searles Elementary School in the amount of $39,946.08. Funding is from the school district's deferred maintenance line.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay, the next item is the recommendation to approve a contract with Control Technologies for a period of 3 years for maintenance of heating, ventilation, air conditioning controls in 13 schools in the annual amount of $194,922. Funding is from 91.1.2222605423 HVAC maintenance. So we did also budget for this. You saw an original contract that was in your package, and we sent out a change to that, I think just yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. And the reason why the increase between the first one and this one was we found that they missed a few schools in their proposal to us. So we went back to them and they added those back in. I believe those were Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable that we had to add. I do want to check one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
it was on Pennachuck and Franklin Street.
15. So there are actually, as a correction to the memo, there's 15 schools instead of 13.
Okay.
And you're correct, Pennachuck and Franklin Street read it.
I was looking at this and I was wondering why Dr. Crisp went up so much, because in the first one that we were sent, it was 3,740, but in the second one, it was 6,040,
Yes.
which is more than the other elementary schools. I didn't know why.
Yes, so this past year, we worked at converting all the control systems from Siemens into the system that CTI maintains. And so we had a cost based on the condition of a year ago, not the way it is now. So we just finished those conversions early this summer. So that is the correct cost.
Okay. Are the other schools already converted to that, or is that
Yes,
something?
all these already are on the CTI controls. We have 2, 3 locations still on Siemens.
Okay. So what is Dr. Crisp gonna be getting for the extra $2,300? I mean,
So if you can picture, we had about a third of the school under our controls before, and the rest of it was Siemens. We've since changed all of those from Siemens into CTI controls. So that's what we're getting, is the other roughly 2/3 of the school.
okay. Is it more money than all the other schools because it's larger than the other schools, or?
Actually, Dr. Crisp is one of the smaller schools. I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, it's all newer controls. It's the latest and greatest.
Okay,
That is the price they gave us.
okay. All right, do you have any questions, Mr. Claffey? Okay.
We'll check on that, though.
Okay,
Get a good answer.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion to approve the contract with Control Technologies for a period of 3 years for maintenance of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning controls in 15 schools in the annual amount of $194,922. Funding is from line 91.1.222260.54243 HVAC maintenance.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay,
And note that that was a 3-year contract. This will be year 1. Then we'll come back to you next year with the cost for year 2, which will be the same as this year.
okay.
Next item is a recommendation to approve a purchase order to Allied Universal for the annual security system district-wide maintenance and repair contract in the amount of $100,374.96. If to transpose the period and a comma there by mistake. Funding is from line 91.1.222260.53628 contract services. This is actually a contract you approved last year. This is year 2 that we're just starting. And we did put in sufficient funding in the budget to cover this, and I recommend you approve this.
Okay. Any questions? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order to Allied Universal for the annual security system district-wide maintenance and repair contract in the amount of $100,374.96. Funding is from line 91.1.22260.53628, contract services. And,
So-
oh, sorry.
I was going to say so moved.
Oh, I'll second it. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And the last item I have is concerning the tennis court resurfacing. I put a memo in front of you off to the side. I did not have I just received the bids last Thursday. So basically, this resurfaces all 12 tennis courts at the 2 high schools. We budgeted $100,000 in deferred maintenance. We did receive the bids last Thursday. I had some questions about them. So I went out and requested a best and final. Also, so attached are a couple of photos of the tennis courts. You can see that the fairly large cracks that are in, all these were at the South High School, which was the worst of the 2. So we specified a type of crack filler. In the past, they've taken a mixture and just fill in the crack and then called it a day. And lo and behold, next time you go through a freeze-thaw cycle, those cracks reappear, which has happened at the North High School. This new system is called a right way. It is, if you ever have seen sheetrock being applied, so you have 2 panels of sheetrock, and they put what they call mud joint compound, and then you put the tape in front of it. And the tape hides the cracks, and you may have cracking behind it, but you'll never see it, because it then gets painted. So that's kind of the same issue here. They put a series of layers of a type of tape or mesh over the cracks, and then that's after they fill it, and then they paint on top of that. And you won't even notice where it was when they're all said and done. And then completely repaint the courts, the lines, and the around the courts. We did receive originally 4 bids. You can see there's a very wide disparity in the costs, ranging from a total of $48,000 up to $250,000. When I went out for the best and the final, I didn't even bother go back to the highest cost because they're already well beyond everybody else. But these do represent their best and final after specifying the patching system. So Legacy Profits is a fairly new company. They are out of Jacksonville, Florida, which raised my eyebrows a little bit. I got some references from them. I called, I only got a hold of one. The other 2 haven't returned my calls. The one I did receive was from Ohio, and it was an athletic director or park and rec director in that town, and they were very excited and very happy with the performance of this company. The individual in charge of it has 12 years' experience in this sort of work, but his company is pretty new.
Mr. Smith, can I just ask you a quick clarifying question?
Sure.
Do you have any hesitation whatsoever with this company where it sounds like you did some reference checks and whatnot, where they are out of Jacksonville, Florida? You know, that definitely is a big difference between here in New Hampshire and Florida. But I mean, we trust your judgment, of course. You know, we can see the pricing is pretty substantial between the 4 quotes you did receive. But you feel confident with a company out of Florida, at least
Be
what you've seen?
100% honest,
Yep,
which I usually try to do.
yep,
Yeah, I have some trepidation. I mean, these guys are from Florida. They're a young company. They haven't got much of a track record. I wasn't going to say this right up front, but I called one of the other references, and I said, "Do you know Jerry Bird? He's the guy that runs the company." He said, "Yeah, he's my boss." I think, this is not much of a reference, you know, or I work for him. Well, I said, "It says here that you own these tennis courts that they resurfaced." And she said, "Yeah, I'm a part owner of those." At that point, I just dropped the conversation. I didn't see the use of going any further with that one. So the only good reference I got was from Ohio, and she, again, spoke very highly of them.
Did she say how long ago they had done the resealing for them? I mean, what had it been through a couple of seasons and stood up, or?
The one from Ohio, they just done them this spring.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that sounds like long enough for us to be able to, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with that.
yeah, I think, and sorry to kind of hop in here, I think the challenge is, right, anytime we go out for some of these quotes, excuse me, whether it's within Mr. Smith's, you know, line of business, special education, or kind of anywhere, we're truly asking for them to give us their bids, best and final, based off of the work. Unless we're kind of jumping too far ahead, I think your recommendation is to move forward with them, probably because of the cost. You know, we're talking probably a $50,000 difference if you then go with the next company, which is New England Sports.
We do have a lot of experience with New England sports. They've done all the wood floors for all our gymnasiums across the district. They have gotten a little more recently into exterior court work and had a number of close by examples of work they've done. I did not follow up with those references.
Is there any way we could do like one set of courts this year and then put the other one off until next year?
Can I ask
I don't
one other question
yeah, I
on
don't-
that?
One that's asked first.
Yeah, if we were to, so I think, right, that potentially is an option. But I would think based off of you putting your bid out there, it probably was to go ahead and do the work on both, right? So I wonder if now, if we're changing what the original request was, is there a change in price? Not sure. The other thing I guess I would say is with New England Sports, since they're the kind of second lowest, if we were to make a change just based off of like a business justification, if we were to go with New England Sports, is there enough, I guess, in deferred maintenance? And I know, Mr. Smith, we're putting you on the spot a little bit. I just get leery when, again, I understand we want to be cautious from a financial standpoint. And you know what? If they come in and they do a phenomenal job and they're truly 48,000, then perfect, right? Sometimes you don't know unless you truly try them. I just get a little hesitant when I think of us here in New Hampshire. We have winters. Seasons are a little different than maybe the weather in Florida, so.
What do you think?
Well, there's in the appendix to the RFP that went out, there's verbiage in here. It says the district has the right to waive all formalities and reject any and all proposals when it's own best interest to do so. So we have some leeway. We're not required to take the lowest bid. I am admittedly a little concerned. I mean, they are the lowest bid. There's no question about it, obviously, but Not much of a track record there.
And I guess I'm just concerned because you hate to fall back on a personal experience, but you get the low bidders and then they tell you, well, we didn't see, we're gonna have to level this. And I just say, if you've had good luck with the low company, pay the extra money. And if that's what, I mean, you control the purse strings, so.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, this is coming out of deferred maintenance, right? So from a deferred maintenance standpoint, do we feel like we have enough in deferred maintenance to add an additional 50,000?
Yeah, so we budgeted $100,000.
Yeah, I remember that was the original request, so.
Yeah.
Do you,
If you want, I mean, you can make your motion tonight, but we still have time before the Board of Ed meets. I can further check the reference. I did not check the references for New England sports, primarily because we know them very well, but I haven't checked references regarding outdoor sports courts.
so you would want us to make the motion for New England sports for the 91,400?
Let me ask this, because you budgeted 100,000, the quote for New England sports is 91,400, right? So 91,400. Maybe what we do is we go ahead and make a motion to award the bid for north and south tennis courts not to exceed 91,400, with us verifying legacy, maybe one more reference, and then references for New England sports. And then we can come on Monday with whoever we're certifying that we're gonna move forward.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Let me just fix this.
Oh, that's good.
Would you need the extra $5,000 of contingency as well?
I would recommend that. I mean, I pretty much usually put between 5 and 10% on any project for contingency. To answer another question too, the courts, particularly at the south, are in pretty poor shape. I mean, I'm somewhat surprised we didn't hear more from the tennis team, that balls ricocheting in bad directions. The north were done a number of years ago. They're in better shape, but cracks are reappearing, and I want to change the method that we fill those cracks with. Right. Yeah. We did have it right. Two zero, yeah, yep, yep.
Okay. So what I have here is a recommendation to approve an amount not to exceed 91,400 plus contingency of $5,000 for a total of 96,500 to provide crack repair and resurfacing of tennis courts at Nashua High School South and Nashua High School North, funding from deferred maintenance. That sound okay?
I think that's perfect. Yep.
All right,
And then we'll clarify on Monday night on which company our suggestion is to move forward with.
Okay, all right, so let me make the motion. Motion to approve an amount not to exceed 91,400 plus contingency of $5,000 for a total of 96,500 to provide crack repair and resurfacing of tennis courts at Nashua High School South and Nashua High School North, funding from deferred maintenance.
Second.
Thank you. And anyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
So once you're done that, I was able to get into Lawson, so I just want to make sure we have the right numbers. So the contract service numbers are incorrect. So if we can go back to the 3 motions with contract service. So in the system, it's showing as 91.1222620. And that is directly out of,
Can you say it again? I'm sorry.
yep, nope, it's okay. I apologize. That it wasn't on here. Yeah, so maintenance. So it's 91.1222620. And then the contract service line is the same, which is your 53628.
Okay. Is there no dot after the second one?
So 91.1.222620.
2620, okay. 5, 4, 2, 4, 3, okay.
Can I ask one other question about, I was just trying to find out a little bit about this company. Is it called Legacy Profits? There's a Legacy Profits that does investment work. And then there's Legacy Sports Courts in Jacksonville.
Their own letterhead shows legacy profits.
Well, that's bizarre to me.
It is.
That's,
In fact, if you look up.
unless it's the it's a multi-layered.
I'll try to say it public, if you look up, if you Google them.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Legacy profits,
LLC, but
there's some disparaging comments in there.
I'm glad you raised concerns.
Yeah, like I said to Mr. Smith, I didn't mean to put him on the spot, and I know, I don't want this to ever feel rushed, but we're kind of in a time crunch, right?
Oh, and I
too?
think if he
So,
hadn't,
but,
what would have happened.
Yeah,
You probably, people said, why aren't you gonna look into this company? I think it's good, I think it's great that you did.
yeah.
They can all do the work this. They can all do the work this fall, so they'll be ready for the spring tennis
Yeah,
season.
I would say go local.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate it. All right, we'll go ahead and transition now over to the special education department. We have a couple contracts on here for approval that some of this stuff is new this year, and some of it is renewals that we kind of do year over year. So we'll kind of tag team this together. I'll give a couple high-level overviews and then ask my gentleman to the left to both hop in if there's any additional kind of questions. I think what you'll see in front of you from an overall motion standpoint, we went ahead and said that we would recommend to have all these contracts approved almost as a lump sum in special education under contract services. So if there's any questions whatsoever, please feel free to jump in. I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of provide a few high-level bullet points and some information, and then just stop us throughout if there's questions. Is that okay?
yeah, that sounds good.
So the first one on the list is a newer staffing programmatic company that we are proposing we utilize this year, especially within Sunset Heights Elementary. If I can just take a step back for a second to just clarify. So as we're all aware, last year we spent a significant amount of money in contract services. We are in a position right now that school is starting in a week, right? And we need some of the staff and teachers and support in front of our students who are stepping foot in our buildings next Tuesday. So we do, unfortunately or fortunately, need to do some contract services because people aren't walking through the doors. With that being said, I think the special education team has done their due diligence to be able to go ahead and try to get the best price possible. We've made sure with any of these companies that we are contract servicing with, that there is some type of stipulation that we can go ahead and exit a contract within 30 days if a miracle happens and we find all the special education professionals tomorrow and they walk through our doors. So we are looking to go ahead and work with Constellations to provide some staffing and programmatic services. Tom and Carrie, I'm not sure if you want to kind of just give a high-level overview of the company. We did have a couple of quotes that we received based off of the work we are looking for. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Constellations is who we're looking to move forward with for this particular set of staffing needs at Sunset Heights.
Correct. I'll let Mr. Beer speak to that. I do just, Mr. Gray, you are absolutely correct with the exit clause. The only exception to that would be White Birch, which is a 60-day exception versus the 30-day.
Okay. The Constellations, is there a specific program at Sunset Heights that they're going to be covering?
Yes, so there are 3 intensive needs classrooms at Sunset Heights. They serve some of our students with some of the most significant behavioral needs at the elementary level. These supports would be focused primarily around staffing of one classroom and then behavior support across all 3. So the staffing proposal that they've set for us includes a BCBA supervising across, a ABA instructor to work with the teachers on implementing behavior plans, 9 registered behavior technicians supporting the children directly.
There's a special educator as well?
Yes, pardon me, yes, there's also a special ed teacher, thank you.
Will the special education teacher be in charge of one classroom without any other teachers from our district in there?
That's correct, yes, this fills the position of one teacher, yes, special ed teacher.
Correct me, sorry. So the other 2 classrooms that are at Sunset, from an intensive needs standpoint, do we have teachers for that? Or are there vacancies still at this point? I know the HR team is rapidly hiring. I know they had another orientation today. There was an orientation yesterday, and I believe one again tomorrow or Thursday, so.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we've been working very closely with the administration at Sunset Heights, and they have a couple potential candidates that they are working with around certification issues, I believe. I can't really speak to that in great depth. So we're attempting to also cultivate other potential staffing arrangements if we need to contract for at least one of those positions. We're hopeful at least one of those teacher positions will be filled with a direct hire, but we're waiting.
So if we do need another special educator, will it also come from Constellations? So we'd add on to this contract, or would it be from somewhere else?
We may do that. That would probably be the first place I'd look, but I think we want to do our due diligence again just to make sure that we're not
Okay.
ignoring other options.
I think just to put your mind at ease, potentially, my suggestion with this, right? And I think we have a couple things going on as a district, and I know other districts are kind of in the same boat, is it's challenging to find staff, right? Whether they're special educators, whether they're paraprofessionals. At times, we definitely still have openings and schools starting in the week. With that being said, of course, it's always our first approach to go ahead and hire somebody external or get some internal mobility movement before we'd go ahead and go to contract service. So I think this is a snapshot in time of what the special ed team is seeing based off of the candidates that are in the pipeline that we're anticipating to be hired. I would ask this team, if we cannot go ahead and find additional teaching staff, and we think there are going to be more throughout finance and ops, we should be coming forward and having some of these conversations, right? So the Constellations, staffing services, it's not just one teacher for $905,000, right? It's the teacher, it's some of the support staff that Mr. Beer had talked about, it's some of the paraprofessionals, and really the overall support for the intensive needs classroom.
I was just wondering what the ABA instructor and the BCBA would be doing on a daily basis.
Yep, thank you. So the ABA instructor is unique to their program model, but we believe that it has the option to really help expand the capacity of all three teachers. So it's a very hands-on position, working with the students and not only the contracted staff, but also the building-based staff to try and be a little more cohesive. BCBA is really required for any ABA program. They do the planning, the treatment planning for individual students. In our district, they tend not to do a lot of the direct service for kids, but they are required to supervise any RBTs. There's I believe it's a 5% time commitment of supervision for the amount of time that any BCBA works. So that any RBT, that's registered behavior technician, they're required to have a certain amount of supervision from a BCBA. So with 9 RBT staff, a significant chunk of that is simply the supervision as required under ABA principles.
And will the principal at Sunset Heights provide any supervision over these people that are coming in from Constellations?
Yes, we've been working very closely with Ms. Anderson and Ms. DuPont to make sure that we're setting consistent expectations and supervision. Our elementary coordinator, Lennox Banning, also is working very closely to make sure that this is managed comprehensively and collaboratively.
Okay,
That's a good question, thank you.
all right.
And then I would just say from the financial end, I will be on a monthly basis with the special education team, because right off the bat, I mean, this is just under $1 million. And then the couple others on here coming out of contract services. I already see, if we truly move forward with what we're anticipating as the snapshot in time as of today, we are going to need more money in contract services related to special education. Just a friendly reminder, some of those open positions, if we cannot fill them, we will move that wage money over into contract services at some point throughout the year. But we will be meeting on a monthly basis, not only to talk about contract service, special education, but the tuition out of district piece. That were the 2 big priorities last year from a cost standpoint.
Okay, when I was looking at this earlier today, I was kind of wondering, it looks like most of the stuff is coming out of the operating budget. I didn't know, we must get some money from the IDEA, and I wanted to know if maybe next month or something or sometime you could bring up the IDEA and why some things are in IDEA and some things aren't. This said, it's funding to be charged to the operating budget, which is offset by salaries and benefits. Does that mean that you'd have to move salaries and benefits over if we run out of money in contract services?
That is correct.
Okay.
But just remember that when we go ahead and move, so if we have a full-time teacher position currently, right, and hypothetically, that cost is $100,000 between salary and benefits, we can only move the wage amount. So if that wage for a teacher is $75,000 for round numbers and the benefits are $25,000, we can only move $75,000 over to contract services. As we know what contract services, there's a lot more that usually gets spent, right? Because you're usually paying sometimes double, if not 2.5 to triple what somebody would be if we can hire. So we will be watching it very, very closely. We can absolutely go over some of the IDEA cost with you folks, and kind of how do we determine what sits in operating versus what sits in our federal funds.
Yeah.
We are still waiting for final allocation for the 25-26 allocation year of federal funding. We're getting updates on a daily basis. So once our applications are approved and the awards are awarded, we'll be able to strategize a little differently. But we do have a little bit of money in IDEA. that we could utilize. But I think, as we talked last year, all of this is a pie that we need to continue to monitor. Because if we need money, I'd rather come forward and let you folks know sooner than later.
Okay. Okay, so Kin Pathick, it says the behavior staff to serve one or more schools. Are these a different type?
Can I ask a question
yeah, sure, of
about
course.
Constellations? How many students are being served at that school? I know it can change, but roughly?
Yeah, across the 3 classrooms, it's close to the 12 kid per classroom max.
Oh, 36 students.
Yes, but again, the staffing under Constellations will primarily sit around one of those classrooms with, again, the supervisory component and some of those supports going across all 3.
So if you were looking at the ratios, what would you use 12 or would you use 36? If they're working with 12 at any time, any one time, is it fair to say it's really 12?
Would you reframe the question?
If they're only serving 12 at a time, is it fair to say that they're serving 36? That's all.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say the special education teacher will certainly be the 1 to 12. The BCBA will be overseeing the RBTs that are there. The RBTs will definitely be servicing the students within that one classroom. There is that instructional coach that will be overseeing the staff for the 36. So it really depends on which part of the contract and the individual and the services that they're providing it, the total number of students that they're going to support. That's not to say that should little Johnny or little Susie in another classroom need additional support, they're obviously there to support in a crisis or as needed basis.
I think Mr. Claffey, correct me if I'm wrong, I think where you were going with it is, it seems like, in my opinion, financially, it seems like a lot of money to service just 12 kids, right? And we have more than 12 students in these intensive needs classrooms, right? So I think it will be other kids are being serviced. It's not just those 12 students, especially for this price tag of almost $1 million. And again, I want to be clear, this is something we will monitor every 30 days, right? So again, if we can find special education teachers on our own, even within the first 30, 60, 90, 6 months of school, we as a district will hire somebody directly. And then that's where that clause comes into play, that we should be able to get out of these contracts within 30 days, with the exception of White Birch, which has the 60-day notification period.
And I'm going to ask this question now, but I think it's relevant to every other conversation we're going to have about contract services. For this fiscal year, has state and federal support been eroded already?
So I'll touch base on that a little bit, and then.
Is it, maybe this isn't the time, but I just thought,
So what we're seeing right now is, I think we're gonna end up getting a little bit more money from the state level when we talk adequacy aid as a whole, right? Which is special education and just education support from the state level. I think through budget season, we thought it was gonna be about $5 million more than years past for adequacy aid. We have heard special education or catastrophic aid has decreased, but again, adequacy aid has increased. So I think in the grand scheme of things, if you're asking my financial opinion, we still have our operating budget, which is set. We have federal funds that are coming in that are slightly lower than what they were prior year. We still have money coming in from the state that is slightly higher if you look at the overall bucket of adequacy aid and catastrophic aid and special ed. I think the challenge we and other school districts are facing, and I've said this for the last year, is the special education cost related to contract services and out-of-district tuition are drastically higher. So I think snapshot in time as of right now, do we have enough? I think it's a little too early in the school year to say 100% confidently yes. But based off of what we brought in last year cost-wise, what our budget was, what federal funding was, again, this is something we're going to be talking about every single month at Finance and Ops. Dr. Andrade and I have been meeting with the city, with the mayor's office, with the finance team at city, to be saying, if costs continue to be as high as what they were last year, we need to plan for it. Again, we put more money into special revenue. So these are all things we're talking about behind the scenes. But I would say as of today, August 19th, right now, we seem to be okay. Knock on wood. It depends on kind of how everything shakes out. So I don't know if that helped answer your question, Mr. Claffey. Sorry if it was too much information, but as always, I've said I've always will be super transparent throughout. Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say I appreciate the questions related to efficiency. I think as we're managing contracted staff and on the programmatic side, we care a lot about getting the value out of the money that we're putting into this.
Yeah. So the Kinpathic, what schools are you thinking this will be used at?
At this time, the bulk of the 6 will likely be assigned to McCarthy Middle School.
Okay. Okay. And now there was and we were contracting with a company to provide us a lot of extra services in McCarthy last year. What was the name of that company?
That would be Applied ABC. They are on the second page of the memorandum. It's for the renewal. It's the last bullet item on page 2.
So this Kinpathic staff will be in addition to Applied ABC?
So the Kinpathic staff would be, so you think of a tiered system in McCarthy. The Applied ABC program is the ground level, and Kinpathic would be the mainstream level. So they'd be doing everything outside of the ground level programming.
So when you say ground level, you mean like the more intensive needs?
Correct. So when I say ground level, I mean the actual ground level of where you got, I don't like calling it a basement. So it's the ground level entrance.
Okay, all right, that makes sense, thank you. Okay, and so what about the Teach Town? This is curriculum? Is it gonna be used across the whole district?
Short answer is yes.
Okay, and,
And with a focus on intensive needs. It's really for the intensive needs classrooms and programs.
is this the first time we're gonna have curriculum that's a set for the intensive needs programs?
It's going to be the first time that we have a uniform K through 12 curriculum for an intensive needs population. As you may recall, with some presentations that were done at the last school board or last year, the teachers had expressed the need for a set curriculum that can be done with consistency and fidelity across the districts.
I am, because I have experience with intensive needs, I'm wondering how you even begin to develop a curriculum that will serve all these kids. I'd be interested to actually see it sometime if I can come in and take a look at it.
Absolutely. So we're just waiting. So we've done some overviews. We've certainly done some piloting. We're just waiting to get the approval to bring it forward to the board to get the subscription and everything. And we absolutely would love to have you or any other member of the board come in and preview it as well.
Just to mention, so this and in future meetings, we'll kind of make the separation so there's not confusion. So Teach Town specifically will actually be coming out of the IDEA grant. We had to make one slight tweak to it today. So it's not 100% approved from the state level, but it's, I would call it about 90%. So we're going to be able to pull money out of the 23-24 IDEA grant that actually doesn't close until September of this year, and that will be the supply portion. And then in IDEA 24-25, that grant ends next September. We'll be able to go ahead and pull some subscription and funding and training money out of that grant. So this really is more from a Teach Town standpoint. This is more of an awareness of, hey, Board of Education, here's what we're doing with some federal funds. It's not something that you folks necessarily need to approve because it's federal dollars.
Okay.
It will not go forward to the curriculum team. The curriculum team is aware of this new intensive needs curriculum coming forward. We've talked to Mr. Posca, Dr. Andre's on board. Everybody is aware. My understanding is it doesn't need to go to curriculum for approval because it's coming out of the grant. Almost think of it as like a piloted program. If it is successful, we'll talk about future funding.
Where it is a piloted program, does that mean, I mean, will there be enough components for all of the kids' intensive needs to use it, or will it be just going out to some of the children in the intensive needs program?
So we've thought long and hard because cost is obviously something that we want to be very, very cognizant of. So we feel confident in what we've put forward that we'll be able to support all of the students. There is several different components to Teach Town. There's the individual workbooks. There is the licenses for the computer-based. So we haven't purchased as many licenses for the computer-based, with the thought being the para and/or the teacher can have a few and work with a few students under the license, but every student will have their individual workbook and the materials to work from.
Okay, all right, that sounds good, thank you. Okay, now, the Speakeasy Speech Therapy, that's, it's 0.2 full-time SLP and 0.8 full-time SLPA? What's the difference?
Yes, just, so speech language pathologist versus speech language pathologist assistant. There are certain things the assistant cannot do. They can provide all direct service, but they don't do evaluations, and they're required to have supervision from a SLP.
So would the 0.2 give us enough time to have the supervision?
Go ahead.
We believe so. We've worked closely with our head speech pathologist for the district to make sure that we're covering the needs of the schools.
I think the other piece to note, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The other piece to note is last month, we actually brought forward a contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, a contract with White Birch that they will be providing some support. Is it necessarily for the speech pathologist, or is it for the psychologist? Because I know we have a couple different positions that are open, and I think based off of the staff that we currently have, based off of some of the contract services we've already put forward, the team is saying that we still need a 0.5 SLP and a 0.8 SLPA, so assistant, to be able to support the current needs that are in front of us today.
Well, I see that you have Speakeasy Speech Therapy and then Beacon Communication Services. And then you have some other speech language pathologists from other organizations and then the ones in our school directly. How are they all going to work together? How does that work?
So overall, we have about 29 and a half FTEs of speech therapist coverage, and our head speech therapist for the district help us to assign and manage caseloads. We just did the rollover in the special ed system for students rising up to the next grade, and so this week we'll be pulling updated speech caseload rosters by school to make sure that we've balanced accordingly. That I would say that our cadre of speech therapists really do welcome contractors as full-fledged members of the speech team in terms of their development and communication as a team.
Do they have similar backgrounds and methodology and stuff? The speech therapists from Speakeasy and Beacon Communications and are they all completely different, or?
So there's going to be the basic criteria that's going to be the same. Obviously, as we all draw from our own experiences, but the tenets of speech to be certified in the state of New Hampshire are pretty much on the equal footing. The head speech language pathologist has been in contact and has worked with these companies and recommended them. She is a speech language pathologist. She understands the language. She knows the nuances, which is why we feel pretty confident in going with their recommendation.
Okay, and, all right, so I have one more question about this. So it says for speakeasy, you want a staff of 0.2 FTE SLP. What does that mean, 0.2? Does that mean it's someone that comes in like 1 day a week, or it's 1 day a week?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it would not be the full-time equivalent.
okay. All right, so that sounds good, I guess. Oh, I have one more question. For kids that are nonverbal, will they be working with one or the other of these organizations, or?
So again, that really is based off of the speech language pathologist assignments. As Mr. Beer had said, we just with the rollover from Aspen just having been completed, it's a manual process to go from there into the state system to do the next year rollover for the IEP system. So we'll be looking at working with the head speech language pathologist to make sure that we have the caseload assignments. All speech language pathologists are able to support and service students with nonverbal with AAC communication devices, whether or not they be the low tech, which would be the boards, or the high tech, which would be the actual devices. In some instances, the district does contract with AAC specialists directly to provide additional levels of supports for students that may need it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think just to kind of maybe add some clarity, I'm not positive that some of this has come forward in the past, right? I think I come from the mindset of any contract services, and we know how much money we spent in contract services last year. Anything over that threshold of $10,000, the awareness needs to come to the board, right? So I think what you're gonna see this year is maybe some, not that we were hiding anything, but maybe some more stuff coming forward. And again, I'm not trying to add confusion, but I think, you know, when we sat a month or two ago and when we look at the final forecast, you know, when we're over budget in contract services and out of district tuition by $4 million between those two buckets, that's a lot of money, right? And it's kind of like, how did we get there? So I think some of this, again, is these are a lot of needs that students have in their IEPs. We have to support these kids. Kind of have no choice based off of the law, especially if it's in their IEP. So it really is going to be an understanding on a monthly basis of what's coming out of operating, what can we do to support federal funding, and then that third piece, if we need to dip into our special revenue account, how are we doing that? Again, ultimately, the choice would be to hire if we had the staff walking through the door directly.
Right. Okay, so the next ones are the renewals. And so the, the main question I had with this one was, I see that White Birch Educational Services, there's, you want to get a 0.2 full-time school psychologist and then a 1 full-time speech and language pathologist. And I'm wondering, because last month we approved a multi-year psychology contract for the next, for 2 years. And I'm wondering why this wasn't included in that.
Let me take it, and then you guys can jump in. So my understanding from the team is at that snapshot in time, when we came forward with that 2-year agreement with White Birch, I think we were anticipating to go ahead and fill these positions internally. Unfortunately, as of today, they are not filled. We have needs based off of our students. So we need, again, 1 additional school psychologist to go ahead and be here 0.2, 1 day a week, and then a full-time person for speech and language, again, 1 day a week.
Okay. And
Excuse me, not 1 day a week, 1 FTE, so 5 days a week. That is my understanding. Is that accurate?
So as it relates to the school psychologist, we had extended an offer. The individual had accepted. And within the last week, it indicated that they were able to get a position closer to home, so they had unaccepted the position, which is now required us to fill this.
Okay. Okay, and it's too late to have them go into the 2-year contract? Or are we hoping that maybe next year we can hire somebody, or?
Yeah, we could ask. I think at this point where we've already gone ahead and signed that 2-year contract, that would require some type of addendum. I would recommend that we do this on a annual basis. And again, there should be that 60-day clause for White Birch in there. So if we find somebody directly, we could go ahead and stop the contract service.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. And Applied ABC, it's going to be the same as last year? The same
Only
amount of
better.
people and, how the what?
Only better.
Only better.
Same but better. It will be. So it's going to be the same type of programming, the same level of services being provided. This year, first years are always a growing pain. I think we learned what worked really well, what could be tweaked, and Applied has been very good at wanting to work with us. They've come down on some of their pricing, so this is a best and final from them. We did, as you may see in the memo, we got a price from someone that was far exceeded what Applied was willing to do for the same number of services.
Okay, all right. That sounds good.
And then Carroll Center, that is on here again. So that will be a split funding source. At this point, we usually in the past have gone ahead and been able to cover the operating cost related to our 504 kiddos. And then the IEP students have been covered in years past by the IDEA grant. So that is our anticipation again this year.
Is it like 50-50 or is it more 25-75?
I think it's more of a 30-70. When we had looked at the numbers from prior year, it looked like the IEP students were more of a 70% split, and the 504 as of last year were about a 30% split.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think too, I just want to give credit to both of these gentlemen. I know there's been a lot of changes and stuff. This is a little bit newer for both of them. As you folks are aware, we had a change in leadership from our special education director position. Ideally, it would have been nice to bring some of this forward last month. I think we as a district are in a unique position. Many other districts, I'm sure, are in the fact of we got to be cautious, right? Like if we have openings and we're 30 days out from school, is that the right time to contract service, right? We have a lot of CBAs. We got to make sure we're doing fair labor acts, right? We got to make sure that we have positions posted. But at some point, as the administration has talked, we do need to also be able to step back and make sure we have staff in front of these kiddos when they walk in the door. So we'll have to continue to kind of work through some of that.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want this to feel rushed, but school is next week. So we do need to go ahead and make sure that we're doing our due diligence to fill the void as much as possible to support our kids.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think you could wait much longer. But it's too bad about losing the psychologist that we'd hoped to get. Okay, so what do you think, Mr. Claffey? Should I make the motion?
Yes. I was
Okay.
just looking at the applet track, the 2 positions at Sunset Heights Intensive Needs have been posted since May. And this is up to date,
Yep,
the track, so, I mean, I think you waited.
I feel like the leadership team truly has done their due diligence. I mean, with the new contract too that we just approved with the teachers union, there's a $1,500 stipend in there for all special educators. I think that's a little different than what we've done in years past. So I think we're trying as a district. I just don't think a lot of folks are going into special ed or even teaching or education like they used to, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the special education contracts listed on the Finance and Ops memo dated August 19th, 2025, with the exception of Teach Town and the Carroll Center services for IEP students. funding to come from the operating budget.
So moved.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And now the social studies one, the
Perfect.
curriculum.
Gentlemen, I'm all set to go if you want. Thank you very much for your support. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
All right, I don't see Mr. Posca yet, but he'll be here momentarily, I'm sure, because they have policy starting at 6. So if there's additional questions related to the social studies books, we can definitely clarify with him. But here's the snapshot of what happened. So we did, my understanding from the team is we went ahead and did. All right, here he is, speak of the devil. So my understanding is, and Mr. Posca can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding related to the social studies books is this is something we actually talked through during the budget season. I'm sure folks remember that. I think it was in bucket 2 or 3. We did a pilot program with them, mainly at our middle school level. What we have found is our 8th grade teachers from a social studies standpoint really would like to continue to utilize these social studies textbooks. I think the vendor has done a wonderful job to work with us to make sure this is a little bit more cost effective. I think if folks remember during the budget, you were looking at over $200,000 for social studies books. So what we are proposing is, because there is going to be a little bit of money left over in the curriculum budget than what we anticipated, some of those hypothetical costs came in slightly under budget. We would like to go ahead and move forward to purchase the social studies books for the 8th grade teachers. And we're going to split that into 2 payments. The vendor will allow us to pay one now in fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26, and we will pay a second payment in fiscal year 27. This would be a 3-year agreement, so we'd be able to utilize the social studies books over the course of the next 3 years. Mr. Posca, what did I miss?
Nothing, just to piggyback on that, I think it goes back 2 years ago, we went through a process where we kind of went through, had some staff work through a lot of different textbooks, resources, and companies. They landed on Savas as their number one choice. During that budget season, we were not able to add it. However, we will continue to utilize those resources, particularly in grade 8, the hopes that we're going to be able to utilize, move forward with that at the conclusion of the last, for FY 26. When that was not able to do that, the determination was made that was a significant issue for our grade staff who've really utilized those resources over the last 2 years. So working with Mr. Gray in our office as we started looking at our budget and working with the vendor, we backed off some things. We did not, there's not an impact on grade 7 because grade 7 has had resources they've been utilizing, so wouldn't be a change in how they conduct business. We backed off on rather a 6-year licensing agreement. We're down to a 3-year licensing agreement. So with all of that, we were able to kind of come down to a number that was manageable, and then working with the vendor, able to kind of divvy that up over the course of 2 years in order to pay for the resource. And that really includes, it's books that we're already currently have and we've had utilizing through the pilot, and then continuation of the online resources.
So grade 7 hasn't been using them?
Grade 7 has not. That one of the proposals when we made the proposal was to look at getting grade 7 new resources. They're going to continue with the resources they've had over the last 2 years. If we had taken something away from grade 8, it would be brand new what they were doing for this year. So this is a continuation of what we're doing with grade 8 that we've done over the last 2 years.
Okay, good.
I just have a 2-part question. How many teachers, how many schools?
All grade 8 teachers across 3 schools.
100%.
Okay. All right, if Mr. Claffey feels comfortable with this. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the 3-year agreement to purchase grade 8 social studies curriculum for $75,418 from Savas to be paid in 2 equal sums in August of 2025 and August 2026.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, aye. So that passes too.
Awesome. All right, so the next couple things that are on the list, so before I get to the final as we can be at this snapshot in time of fiscal years 25's forecast, were there any questions related to the financial reports or the transfer report that was out there? I know Mr. Claffey had reached out to me. There was one typo related to one of the budget transfers. So we have gone ahead and just clarified budget transfer 344 from fiscal year 2025 was for a $6,000 transfer. I think one line showed 6 on the Excel spreadsheet, the other line showed 60. In the system, anytime you do a budget transfer, your debits and credits have to equal. Come to find out, it is a $6,000 budget transfer. So just to note that. But any other questions related to the transfer report?
I had one about the first one for fiscal year 26. It seemed like it was the same as one from fiscal year 25.
Let me double check that, Regan, 1 second. 20.
So when fiscal year 26 is listed as entry 1, and then for fiscal year 25 is listed as entry 325.
Okay. I think if I recall correctly, I think our district accountant was supposed to enter it in fiscal year 25. I think she made a transfer in fiscal year 26, because now that we're in 26, the system automatically populates you to 26. Got to make sure you do that keying to go back to the prior fiscal year. Won't happen again because fiscal year 25 is closed at this point. I am almost 100% positive that's what happened, but let me just look at the one that you're referring to, just to
Yeah,
make sure.
the one for entry 1 fiscal year 26 is dated July 1st.
Yep,
And then the one for fiscal year 25 is dated July 1st as well.
are they the same dollar amount, did you recall?
Yes, same
Yep.
dollar amount.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Because I remember catching it saying, why are we making this transfer in 2026?
Okay.
So what that means is that we've already moved some money out of wages into the 53,128, which is, let me double check that.
That's the legal.
Legal, yep, so we moved some money into legal. And then 55,691, I should know all these by heart by now.
It's-
Special education transportation.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is for fiscal year 26, instead of doing a reversal to fix this, we said we'd go ahead and just flag it in my system on the back end. We'll keep an eye on it. So if we need to do a transfer to move it back, we will. I had a coaching conversation with that individual to make sure, you know, you're in the right fiscal year when we're doing these transfers. It gets tricky, unfortunately, at year end.
Yeah.
When there's 2 different years open.
Okay. All right, that was the only one.
I have a softball. I'm tired of looking at numbers and thinking about money.
Can I catch your softball?
Oh, I hope so. I'm looking at entry number 5 for the current fiscal year. I'm dying to know what happened to the
All right, hold on.
porta potty at South. Like, what, did it not have, I've never seen a porta potty without, did a softball, what happened? This
All
should
right.
take 10 seconds.
Yeah, sure. So here's my short consolidated answer to it. So my understanding from a safety standpoint is, of course, we do need bathroom access for a lot of our sports teams. From a safety standpoint, it is not always best to go ahead and leave the schools open for all hours. Therefore, based off of my conversation with the athletic director, with Mr. Smith and his team and our security individual, it made sense to go ahead and add a couple porter potties to
Oh, so the
our
cover
schools.
is the verb,
Yep.
not, I was picturing like somebody ripped off the top.
No,
This
it's
is-
truly
this
to
is-
cover the
this-
porta
this
potties that are
means to
sitting there on
to have
campus.
them available,
Yes, that is
not to
correct.
put a lid on it, that's all.
I see where the
should've-
confusion, the
that's-
memo says cover south
An expensive
porta
helmet
potty.
for a, but when you said protect the kids, I'm thinking, yeah, you don't want to get hit when you're, I know people tip them over. Anyway, I just needed a break from the numbers.
No worries, no worries. All right, I'll try to do this in 5 minutes to be cautious of time, but of course, as always, if there's any questions, please let me know. But I know policy is here waiting to eagerly start in 10 minutes. All right, so the big legal sheet that I handed out before this meeting started. So as of now, it's not a snapshot in time. This is where I'm proposing we are ending fiscal year '25. As folks know, at least for this year, some of our teachers or teaching staff is paid through the summer. So if you look in the wage line, that is why you're seeing a summer escrow, a full-time wage amount in there. Just to point out a couple other pieces of information. So there's still some money, quite a bit actually, sitting in encumbrances. Why is that, right? So it's about $360,000. If there is a purchase order in the system and we are trying to purchase something, whether it's supplies, if Mr. Smith has something being contract serviced and the work has been started, but it hasn't been 100% done, we can go ahead and basically encumbrance those funds to finish paying for that project. So that is why there's still a whole bunch of stuff that's encumbrance. Some of that might decrease a little bit, but you're not going to see that increase because air quote fiscal year '25 is closed, except for some of these line items that still have an open PO. So probably getting too accounting technical, but we have to go ahead and basically bring the money back in to the budget so that we can charge off of this. So that is why, in case anybody was curious, there is about $360,000 sitting in encumbrances. We've done a lot of cleanup. There was a lot of POs in the system, about 65 pages actually. So our accounts receivable and payables team did a whole bunch of cleanup with the city's support. So those are really probably the last of the few items. Overall, I'm showing about a 98% budget use, or excuse me, 98% overall use of fiscal year '25's funding. I'm showing about $4 million in benefits going back to the city that we didn't use, just over $4 million. So in total snapshot of today, I'm saying there's gonna be about $86,000 remaining. I think the couple line items that we had looked at and watched fairly closely throughout the year is contract services. So if I can draw your attention to 53628, which is contract services. Now remember, this is contract services as a whole for the entire district. It looks like we went ahead and spent about $4.4 million. Overall, we did quite a bit of budget transfers into the system this year to offset some of that. I would say about 75% of that, as we've talked throughout the year, was related to special education cost. We were able to go ahead and move some money into our special revenue. I actually pulled those reports today. So from a special revenue standpoint related to special education, we went ahead and spent just under $300,000 in contract services for special education, in addition to what's sitting in the operating budget. The other line item I would just point out, the other topic that we really talked about quite a bit this year is 55694, which is our tuition out of district. So we ended just over $7 million of cost, and then just about 225,000 in tuition out of district went into special revenue. So this line item alone was just under $1 million over budget compared to what we originally anticipated.
So we took $225,000 out of our special revenue account towards this?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And remember, at one point, we did come forward with a special appropriation to go ahead. We had taken in more tuition than what we anticipated in special revenue, so that allowed us to use more expense money. We didn't use all of what we anticipated. As of today, I have a current total of special education as of special education, special revenue, sitting at a fairly decent fund balance. But again, we budgeted to use quite a bit for this year ahead for fiscal year '26. So definitely tight overall, but I think I've been transparent throughout this year just to talk about the couple line items that, the few things that were pretty drastically over.
Can I just ask, and you probably answered this, if there's any encumbrance money left,
Yes.
does that roll back? Do we get that back, or that goes to the city too?
Yep, so if there's any money sitting in encumbrance, it allows us to utilize it for whatever that said purchase is. If that purchase ends up coming in below what we anticipate, then that will give us a higher balance at the end of the year, and that money does then roll over to city. So for instance, again, encumbrance, 360,000, say expenses come in and it's only 200,000. If there's 150,000 left, that money would then roll over to city. Unfortunately, no matter what's left, we don't just get to roll it into next year's budget. Any other questions? I know that was a lot of numbers, a lot of math, a lot of detail.